Feels right to start it off like this. The way forward is now, not when. In other words, look in the direction that you plan to go. I got some notes here and it says, the past should be used as needed. As a reference or a tool, I tend to build homes in the past and live there. It enables my behavior. It gives me an excuse not to be accountable for the present. It's hard to move forward while holding on to the past. Moving forward while looking backwards is a sure way to crash. Whatever hurt you then isn't causing you any harm in this moment. The past exists only as a memory. And I know most of those was talking about or like was referring to the past, but even the future. Knowing that there's not a past self to overcome nor a future self to achieve. Also being conscious enough to understand that your future self can't solve your present problems. It's all in what you do now. It's giving permission to step into everything now. That the things that you want to accomplish or the things that you want to access or assess is available to you now. Like the things that you're seeking for, the things that you're working towards. It's not blocked off until a certain time. It's available in such a time as this. But it's what you do with the time that you have now. Like I said before, it's giving yourself the permission to pursue it. Note says that many times I've looked into the past and built a home there. And what I mean by that is just essentially I've been living in the past too long. But not only that, there was a problem that I had with moving too fast, meaning sometimes I would build my home in the future too. Almost building and staying anywhere that wasn't in the present. Like I would be living in reference towards past and past relationships, past things that I've done, sometimes just wanting to get to that old version of self when I was locked in or when I had things together at that particular time. As if that version of myself didn't lead me here. As if this part of my story or this part of my life didn't deserve love as well. Didn't deserve affirmation and validation. That just as much as those good times have surely passed, that these bad ones would too. Or even shifting my perspective to realize that although I may not be experiencing the highs of highs, this really certainly isn't the low either. And then also trying to live in reference to a future enigma that I haven't even lived yet. And oh, how easy it is to place your happiness in the future with the other fools. How easy it is to place your happiness in the future with the other fools. For it's easy to believe that your future self can hold something that your current self doesn't have possession of. It's easy to bring it a little bit easier to understand. It's easy to realize. It's easy to imagine a better life for yourself in the future. That's easy. It's easy to think that it gets better than this. Very easy, right? Difficulty is how do you take that picture, that wishful thinking, that imagination, and turn it into a reality. That's when you realize that it's not when, it's now. It's what you do now. It's all you have is now. And when you realize that all you have is now, and you literally realize it, because we know it, we live in the now. That's all we actually have, right? But when you actually are now conscious and aware of it, You start spending your time differently because you realize the importance of it. And that there really isn't past or future, but just present. And the cliche of the present being a gift. But it's a cliche for a reason. Because when you honor the time that you have now and you don't waste it, you start experiencing those things. Like if you do as the saying says, right, the fool places his happiness in the future, but the wise plant it under his feet. If you begin to place your happiness right where you are, you get to experience it now, not at a future date. Instead of saying that I can't wait till this happens because then I'll actually be happy. Or I can't wait till this occurs because then I'll be this. Already claim that you are that now. Already come into agreement that you're that now. Already accept that happiness. Even if you don't necessarily have the substance of the faith with you in the current moment, be able to hold on to it, be able to have that happiness, be able to. It's honestly just realizing that you're the key to the door. But without you, it doesn't open. And that's a powerful way to look at life. That everything that you're trying to access behind the door requires you first to unlock it. But yes, the door is locked, but you are the key. And sometimes it just takes you to kind of change and turn your perspective, just as much as you would turn a key to unlock something. It's all right there. It's funny how little we realize how close we are to the things that we want to possess. And how it's not God nor the universe trying to withhold it from us, but simply because we're unwilling to step into the person that we need to become. And when I say the person, I don't necessarily mean something out of yourself. I just mean becoming the person that you know is worthy of it. Many times we won't do something simply because we don't deem ourselves worthy of doing it. Now, I can't tell you what's the thing or what's the switch that turns you from somebody who deems themselves unworthy to worthy, besides realizing that you're valuable already. Besides realizing that the journey is not just worth taking because it's the journey and the journey knows that it's worth taking, but more so because you know it's your journey to take. I can't convince you. I can't change or shift your mind by just a couple of words. It takes intentionality from you. It takes being willing to transform. And no longer conforming to the ways that you used to. Because I talked about it the other day, like same actions, same results. So be willing to change. Be willing to have the metamorphosis. Step into what that shift looks like. Going from one particular thing just for you to go through this large change and become something else. Something else entirely. And not just going from, typically the caterpillar to the butterfly, but realizing that it's not just a change, but also its purpose. That change is. It goes from a consumer where we realize that the caterpillar is just consuming until it goes into its cocoon and it has this real big change. And now its purpose isn't to just consume, but also to produce, to pollinate. And that through its change, it becomes, and I don't want to say this to say that you're not beautiful now, but I think many of us can agree that a butterfly looks a lot more appealing than a caterpillar. But if anything else, just realizing that through this metamorphosis, you begin to elevate. You begin to do things that your prior self probably couldn't even imagine you doing. But it's not a future self to kind of hope to save you, to kind of hope and comes along and gives you all of the advice, gives you all of the lessons and the blessings. Like, it's not going to happen. It's you deciding that even if you fall, to get up and dust yourself off and try again. It's you deciding that your journey is worth taking. It's you deciding that the race is worth it because you want. Yeah, that one touches me. It's realizing that the race is worth it simply because you want to run. If anything, stop holding yourself back. I don't like to make a lot of messages about time because it's so ambiguous. It leads more questions than answers. I think sometimes when we make messages about it's just not the right time, because then it leads to, well, when is? And I don't think there ever is a right time for anything. I do think that there are particular seasons of such things, but I don't think there's a right time to begin accepting who you are right now so that you can change and become more. Like, I think it's never going to be the perfect time to realize that you're good, but good can always become better. I think that there's never a right time to realize that you're not happy where you are. It's not to necessarily say that you have to be sad or depressed, but more so to say that you know that there's more for you. And the only way to reach that is realizing that the way forward is now, not when. So be willing to start. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it. I also want to kind of say this. If any of you have any questions, because I know I'm getting some new people joining this kind of journey with me. So if you have any questions or just any situations that you're willing to share for not just me, but also the community, feel free to comment them below. And I love to give any advice that I possibly can. Because I know I wish somebody was willing to give me the advice that I needed in some of these particular seasons. If not just to listen blindly, but just to have wise counsel. Or sometimes it's affirmation, or sometimes it's confirming that I'm not the only one that feels this way, or that I'm not crazy for thinking this. So I just want to put that out there. Feel free to or to not do it. Either way, I pray this helps you and that you like this video. And if you don't, like I always say, it's okay, because I do. If not today, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.